This morning, we are looking at personal safety, how it affects us as parents, as a society, as a people, especially as regards our children. Yes, personal safety is something that sometimes we just take for granted. We don't really know that it's very important that we know about it. Now, the first thing I know you'll be asking, what's personal safety, especially if you're like me who didn't know about it until I met, of course, my guest for the first time, and I had to go and research on it. Of course, we'll be helping you to understand it better this morning, and you are most welcome when we open the phone lines for you to call in and share your thoughts or ask your questions at the time we open the phone lines. If you're just joining me, it's IDARA-MEDIA, and the program is Time Out with me, IDARA, and it's always every Saturday morning, 10:15 a.m. Now, this morning, I have a very special guest. When I say special, she's special because she's doing so much in a world that really many people will probably take for granted, and she's doing so much and making her mark in that regard. This morning, I have Esther Okoye. She's actually a children's author, and she's written books on personal safety for children, and also, of course, she's a safety advocate, someone who speaks about safety and makes sure that we take note. So, Esther, I must say welcome to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for finding time to come here.
You're welcome.
Your voice is fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so for my listener who's listening for the first time, and they are asking, what is personal safety? Now, in today's world, today's society, how would you describe personal safety?
All right. Personal safety means a lot of things. But in one word, I would say personal safety is being confident and in control of your daily choices. Yeah. That's what it is.
That's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's just you being
confident, being persistent, and in control of your daily choices.
Now, when we now bring that to children, what does this say?
Okay, it says that personal safety means protecting yourself from harm.
Okay.
And yes, possible hurts and dangers around you in your society.
Now, looking at us as Nigerian parents, would you say we are reactive or proactive when it comes to teaching safety?
Our parents are actually, I would say they are not proactive. Yes, because they neglect this particular subject, feeling like the children are supposed to know how to protect themselves because they know. And children are young. They are very innocent. They have very free minds. So they feel like, oh, nobody can hurt them until they are hurt before they know. Before they know what's, the boundaries to cross. So parents should be proactive to teach the children about personal safety before, they encounter danger. So that's what I think, ma'am.
Now, in your experience, in your line of work, what are the common safety myths that us as parents still hold on to? Some of those things we heard from our parents that we are still carrying them to this era, still using it on our children.
Okay, that's safety myths. I would say that most times parents feel, okay, just based on what we said before, they are ignorant. They feel like because they are aware of safety, so their children should be aware of safety. And they scold their children when they make mistakes. Yeah, they scold their children when they make mistakes, forgetting that they were supposed to correct and inform the children before that mistake was made. Like I could remember when I was a child, my dad returned with a bunch of crab. And then he dropped it in the kitchen, and excitedly I went to it and I was playing with the crab, and then he just caught one of my fingers in his mouth, and I was really hot and I screamed, and he rushed at me and helped me from that situation. And he dealt with me and telling me that what's wrong with me, I should know how to protect myself. So how would I know? I was young, I was innocent. I felt like, oh, this is a cute crab, it will not hurt me. But after that day, I knew that no, I should not expose myself to something like that. So I feel like that is a belief parents have, that children should know how to protect themselves because they feel like they have that knowledge. The children should have the knowledge, but it's not always like that. It's not always
So
like
it is
that.
like an unwritten constitution that you should
Yeah.
know. I don't have to tell you.
I don't have
You
to
should know
tell
that
you
crab is sharp.
exactly.
So you put your hand there, you definitely will know that it will bite.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So there's a gap already. There's this personal safety gap that's in the minds of children that we need to close. And it's by, teaching them, empowering them over and again. Yes, ma'am.
Now, Esther, I must ask this because this is one conversation that I think we don't have enough.
Okay.
Now, when should conversations around body boundaries and consent for children, when should it begin? Because that's one thing. Some parents have really not hit the mark, like, okay, so this is the age I should start talking to my children about body boundaries, about consent and stuff like that. When exactly, for someone who is into safety, when should this conversation start?
Okay, should start early enough. At least the moment a child starts becoming aware of their body, it should be taught. Like when a child starts understanding words, and I believe that from toddler age, from that age, from around ages 4, 5, 6, there's a way to tell them these things in a very simple ways. Yes. So as early as their toddler age, as long as they start understanding words, when you tell them something they understand, I feel like this is the right time to teach them about body boundaries. Yes.
Now, I have to ask this. Like I see really asked to ask. Now, how do we start this conversation with our children without making them feel fearful, without making them paranoid, without making them feel being traumatic? How do we have this? Because that's some of the things that we didn't learn as parents, and so we just knew. Just like your father said, you should have known. So we just jumped inside.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We no questions asked. Just started like that. Now in this era, we're saying, okay, so start telling your children about, teaching your children about it. How do we begin this conversation? How do we start teaching them without making them fearful?
Okay, the thing is, you don't have to overwhelm them with the subject at once, because personal safety is a very broad, subject. So you can start a step at a time. You can beat it into tiny, stories. Share stories with them. Okay, see what happened to this girl. Just make it very interactive. Real life stories stick longer. You tell them about what's happening in the society. Let them know. Share these stories with them. Let it be interactive as much as possible. So it's not like something, you shouldn't make it look too formal, so that the children, you won't put fear in the minds of your children. You tell them very as simple as, oh, do you know that if you do not if you do not handle the kitchen knife well, it could cut your fingers? Oh, mommy, are you serious? Yes. So you now bring up a story around that. So that is how we can start, a step at a time. So as they develop, their minds are developing. So it's those little efforts that parents make that now contribute to the bigger impact as they develop. Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you're just joining us this morning, it's time out with IDARA, and of course we're looking at personal safety as regards our children. And my guest this morning is Esther Okoye. She's a children's author and also a safety advocate, and she's helping us understand how we can as parents identify personal safety, how we can teach it to our children, how we can also help them understand it and not make them paranoid or fearful in any way. Now, Esther, let me come to the issue of digital safety. Now, do you think as parents we have come to the point where we now help our children know what they consume online? Of course, keeping them safe. We've done enough in that regard.
Parents have not, honestly, because of what I see around happening, in the lives of children. I always say this: before you give a child a phone, you should empower them with the knowledge of internet risk. They need to be very aware before you give them that tool, the phone, to operate, because there are predators online as well. Yes, they are waiting to just find an innocent child, an ignorant child, and take advantage of that. And you know how predators operate. They show care and pretend to care for the child, and with the plans to hurt them later in future. So parents should be very, very cautious of this fact, or educate yourself as parents. Oh, what should I do before I give my child a phone? It's as simple as that. You don't need to be a safety expert before you pass on the knowledge to your children. So you need to be very, very cautious. Get those rules, sit them down, you let them know where to go, or how to recognize predators, the kind of content to consume, so that by the time they operate the phone, they'll be free to give you feedbacks in case they encounter anything that does not, they are uncomfortable with. They can let you know. And parents need to be welcoming too as well. Have that conversation with your child as often as possible.
Now, because I'll put you as a safety advocate, because this is what you've been doing for quite some time now.
Yes.
Now, can you give us some everyday practical tips of how we as parents can start instilling safety habits in our kids?
Okay, you can start even from the home, the house. Let them know about danger zones, that they should not play around. They should understand the tools and objects, or why, let them know how careful they should operate certain objects around the house. Even at the kitchen tools, the kitchen items, the electronics, the electrics around the house, you have to let them know. Do not, just like what I mentioned before, don't think that they already know about these things. You need to inform them, to let them know, so that you prevent any hazards. And also, parents need to, be very build a love-rich environment, around the house, so that your children will be comfortable to express themselves when they experience any form of hurt or harm outside the home. Parents need to let the children understand that there is nowhere as safe and kind as the home. Yes, because if you do not love your child enough, they will get it from the streets, just like we said. They will get it from strangers, and we know what that is. We know what that is. So you make your home love rich enough so that children can express themselves when they feel confused, or when they encounter any possible dangerous situation. So I think it's just basically starting the talk. If possible, you make it weekly, monthly. Sit your children down, let them know, because the world is not a safe place. And you think that, oh, where are my children going to? How can they, they can't be exposed. But they go to schools. And when they mix up with all sorts of children from different backgrounds, you don't even know what they discuss, the kind of information they are consuming. So if you do not build that personal relationship with your child in the aspect of, interacting with them about the subject of safety, you will not know what they are consuming already. And before you know what's happening, it builds to something really, really, serious. So start the talk, educate yourself. If you don't have any personal story, experience you have had, safety experience you've had, you could research, check about stories that's happening around the society of how children are exposed to danger, learn, draw out the lessons from them and share with the children. So that's how they can start inculcating this tradition, this subject.
So Esther, you have worked with children, you've worked with parents, you've worked with community groups. Now, tell us one story or two stories or cases that have actually stayed with you in the course of your work with all of these groups.
Okay, so while I volunteered to counsel school-age children on the subject of safety and social vices, I was really alarmed by the responses I got from these young children. That was when I realized that, in fact, there is a whole lot of work to do. In fact, we need more people to pay attention to this subject. A lot of children, they had to share personal experience with me and their parents are not aware, and they live in the same, house, under the same roof, and they don't know what their children are experiencing. There was one that said that, the neighbor, I was actually a mother's friend, I think the father's friend, and he's, because of the family welcomed him into the home, and that was how it began to take advantage of her.
Oh wow.
So when she returns from school, when no one is around, because parents, they go to work, and when the children return from school, they ask them to stay in a neighbor's house, and that was how this neighbor in quotes took advantage of this situation, and he began to molest her. And he would say, don't tell your mommy, don't tell your daddy. And that is what you need to teach your children. When someone begin to tell you, do not tell, they do something for you and they say, don't tell your parents, that is a predator. So the child needs to understand that that is a red flag. So he started to molest her, and she says she's scared, and mommy doesn't even know. She doesn't know if they will believe her. So many stories, in fact, happening even between siblings. And yes, I heard that. In fact, it was so deep. Teachers molesting the children.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because they don't know the difference between safe touch and safe touch and harmful touches. They don't know unsafe touch. They don't know. So it was that time I started, to give back, teaching them, building that confidence that they had lost in the process of this abuse. So, in fact, it's really a whole lot that this is a subject very important that parents should not neglect. Yes, for the security of their children's future.
Now, in wrapping this conversation, I know, of course, we'll have other days to still come back and talk about this. But for today, in wrapping this conversation, now, if you had 60 seconds and you were to scream a safety message to parents this morning, especially us as Nigerian parents this morning, what would you say to us?
Okay, I would say that teaching your children about the subject of personal safety is not just all about protecting them from harm, but you are also building resilience in your child. You are building confidence. You are empowering them to own their voice. You are empowering them to be assertive. You are empowering them to say no when they feel something is wrong. So it is not just about keeping themselves safe. It's not only in that box, but you are building a confident child that will make good choices for themselves, even when you are around and when you're not around. So it's something that it follows them to the future, not just now. Yes, ma'am.
Now, I must say I've learned so much. And of course, I've seen one of your books, and it's really very educational. I'll go through it, and then, of course, one of these days I'll probably do a review on it and talk more, speak more about the book. But I must say, well done to you, Esther, because you are doing so much. Like you said, more people need to have this conversation. More people need to come out and also be those who are teaching children about personal safety, because every child, no matter how much you think you know, every child needs to be educated on personal safety. Personal safety is something we cannot shy away from at all. So thank you so much, Esther.
You're welcome.
And to everyone who's been part of today's production, we're back again next week with another insightful guest, another interesting guest. And like I always say, Time Out with IDARA is something that you do not want to miss. Remember, you can also call us if you want to be a sponsor, you want to place your ad, or of course you want to drop a message on this program. All you need to do is call 0813 589 2362. 0813 589 2362, or you can follow me up on my social media handles at IDARA-ODOR. Yes, you can find me everywhere at IDARA-ODOR, and then let's continue the conversation. Remember, you can also reach Esther at Esther Okoye on Facebook if you want to continue the conversation with her.